What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. The other day, I saw a video pop up on my feed, right? And it was by Damian Porter. And he's been putting in work. I give him credit. He's putting in work. He's doing 2-3 videos a day, every day. So I respect the grind. This video had to do with Cartoon from 5 Trey Avalon. Cartoon, I guess he has chosen to better himself in his life, and he's now going by Tony. But for the purposes of this video, with all due respect, Tony, I'm just gonna say Cartoon because a lot of people still do know him as Cartoon, right? And before I get into the video, I just want to remind people that didn't know, I know Damian Porter well. We were kids together in the California Youth Authority. We were cool. We got in a fight. He got on YouTube and we were cool. And then over a lie, we had a falling out. It is what it is. I still wish that man well. I'm glad to see his channel blowing up. And as far as Cartoon, I've had personal conversations with Cartoon 2 or 3 times, and I will say every time that I've conversed with Tony, with Cartoon, he's a very respectful individual, and I have nothing bad to say about either one of them, right? So this video was in regards to Jap 5, and there's a lot of heat being put on Jap 5 by 4 Extra. Now, they got in their fight. Whatever happened, happened. But I have to say this. When I see these individuals speak, Jap 5 got in a fight with Crip Mac. He got in a fight with 4 Extra and other people, right? When I see Jap 5 on any interview, I see a cool, calm, collected individual answering questions, telling his story. When I see Crip Mac, I see a character, a like literal cartoon character. He can't just talk. It's all the extras. And then with 4 Extra, look, 4 Extra has a reputation. He fought everybody and he beat everybody up, but it's just so much screaming and yelling, and it's very hard for me to watch. Right? But in the heat of this back and forth, 4 Extra has accused of Jap 5 of being on a 50-50 yard. That's what I want to talk about. I've done videos about this in the past in regards to blacks and 50-50 yards. But I only listened to a little bit of this video, and I had to turn it off. I did. In the video, Damian Porter said that, well, let me start with this. Tony, Cartoon, said he did time in the 80s. And that in the 80s, there was no such thing as 50-50 yards, right? There was no such thing as S&Y yards. So he said he doesn't get the concept, right? It never played a part in his life as far as behind those walls. Now, this is another perfect example. In the late 80s, there definitely was Tehachapi and CMC were 50-50 yards. However, there were 50-50 yards for Mexicans and whites, not for blacks. Damian Porter's response was 50-50 yards, 50 plus 50 is 100, and 50-50 yards is 100% no good. But then he turned around and said, but if you go to 50-50 yard just because you want to go home, that's cool. But if you went over there because you got in trouble on an active yard, then you're no good. Look. The Mexicans and whites are the ones that came up with the 50-50 thing. It was not a CDC thing until way later, right? That was internal politics. The groups that the Mexicans were under, the various different factions of Mexicans, as well as the whites. The legends made decisions. That yard's no good, and that yard's no good. That's a 50-50 yard. That's a 50-50 yard. Basically, you have a time limit. You had a curfew. If a yard is righteously no good and you're active, you will never be sent there. If a yard has a curfew, that is a 50-50 yard, and they will send actives because the CDC did not abide by the politics of the convicts. Up until all these cell phones got put in the prisons, then all of a sudden you had blacks tripping on, oh, that's a 50-50 yard, that's a 50-50 yard. But the 50-50 yard was designated by either Mexicans or whites and Mexicans. I told you guys about the story where I got sent to Tehachapi. Got out of the shoe in 97, got sent down to Tehachapi. Tehachapi was a 50-50 yard. They were flipping it to make it a main line at the time, and then it flipped back all the way to SNY, I believe, right? But we were the very first bus. There was 6, maybe 7 Southerners on that bus. I don't know how many whites, but a bunch of blacks. Every one of the Southerners that was on that bus with us, we all whacked somebody and went to the hole. Not one black did, because it wasn't a 50-50 yard to them. Blacks have gone to CMC. There's a YouTuber. CMC is one of the worst, historically worst sex offender yards in the history of the California Department of Corrections. And we have a content creator on YouTube that's black that went there. The CDC felt safe sending him there. They knew he wasn't going to do anything because he was a programmer. And there's nothing wrong with being a programmer. But that was a 50-50 yard. One of the worst trash yards in the state. But for him, it wasn't because social media hadn't grabbed a hold of the term. You know, before social media grabbed a hold of the term dropout, you never heard that. Only the people that were in that world heard that word. And they knew what it meant and they knew how to apply it. But you got guys on social media that apply it to people that they're PC. There's a difference between a PC and a dropout. But people don't know these things. And that's why I wanted to make this video. I get it now that the blacks are pushing the 50-50 yard. They're pushing that line now too. I just don't understand how when I heard Damian Porter break it down to, if you get sent to a 50-50 yard and you stay there because you want to go home, it's cool. But if you're on a main line, an active yard, and you get in some trouble and they send you to the 50-50 yard, then that's not right. Well, what happens when the guy that wants to go home gets sent and put in the cell with the guy that fucked up? You see what I'm saying? Makes zero sense. He's still going to be okay? That's the question I have for Damian. And this is no hostility. I have nothing against Damian, man. Like I said, we had a falling out, but I know the dude, man. But maybe he can elaborate on that because it makes zero sense to me. If a dude is active, whether he wants to go home or not, if the CDC placed him on a 50-50 yard and he's really politicking, he's got to get off. Now, each group would look at it their own way. Like, if I can just tell you this, if you're a Southerner and you get housed on a 50-50 yard and you know you got to get off within, let's say, 90 days. You have to be off that yard. You have to be in that, say, within 90 days of arrival to that yard. And the Southerner decides to go and fist fight somebody that's no good on the yard. He goes back to ad say, he's going to get hit. He's going to get hit. The Southerners will look at that as a PC move. You were better off just staying on that yard and selling up with that guy. That's how the Southerners look at it. However, other groups might look at it as, hey, he got off. It is what it is. There's different levels and different approaches. One doesn't make the other one wrong or right. It's just the politics of that car. From my understanding, Jap 5 was sent to what they were referring to as Prisonland. And that was an opportunity, I believe, over there. They offer drug counseling. Like, you could literally take the course there, get out and become a drug counselor. They had different things, and they were allowing people to program and giving them a chance at a trade, education, whatever. How is that a bad thing? Now, if his car had that place labeled as something, that's within his car. Jap 5 is a Hoover. 4X is a Crip. I don't, in my dealings with the blacks, I've said it. When I used to have to interact with the blacks and discuss something with the black groups, when I would talk to the Bloods, it was so simple. At the most, there's a 2-letter group and there's a 3-letter group. At the most, if they're both there, I'm going to talk to those two dudes. Boom. We're done. We're all on the same page. Hopefully. But for the Crips, man, I had to talk to a bunch of different people. That's not a good thing, talking to a bunch of different people. The Hoovers, I could talk to one dude. But I know for a fact, the Crips just can't tell the Hoovers what to do, and the Hoovers can't tell the Crips what to do. And that's the thing that's being left out of this conversation. There isn't one group that speaks for all the blacks, as far as like the legends. Whereas for the raza, for the Mexicans behind the walls, you have 2 groups that speak for all of them. And when they tell their people what to do, that's what it is. It ain't changing. So I give you this. Damian Porter, if you see this, because I'm sure people are going to say I'm hating on you, which I'm not. Maybe that's a great content idea for you. Is it universal for blacks now to adhere to the 50-50 rule? And I'm not asking him to explain which group was able to get all the different black factions to agree. But when I hear this, like, I understand 1,000% what Cartoon's saying. California didn't have protective custody up until what? 1996 or 7. There was no such thing. And I believe that really started with Calipatria, D facility. You had Mule Creek, which was changed quick to no good, 50-50 yard, but it wasn't full-blown PC. There were horrible inmates on the yard that, Mexicans and whites, if they landed there, they're going to have to get off immediately. But anyways, that's my video for today, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.